I raised my crossbow and waited for the walkers to get close, then shot an arrow through their bodies, tied them to tree trunks with rope to make sure they completely lost their threat. I took out a sharp stick and pierced through their cheeks. Then I brought the captured walkers back to camp, ready to trade for some supplies. Here, each walker could be traded for 1 liter of gasoline. The more you caught, the more rewards you got. Just as I was holding an empty oil can to collect my reward, a kid ran over to talk to me.
Look, mister, you, think you give me a few pointers?
Yeah, go home to your girl.
He wanted to tag along as my helper. Said he'd take a cut of whatever we caught. I turned him down because I didn't need dead weight. By evening, I poured my fuel into the tank and noticed that kid was again asking to join someone else's team. This time he'd picked a real bastard. No, they had no intention of bringing dead weight along, so they told him to chop wood, prove himself first. The kid didn't hesitate, walked right over to the woodpile like he'd do anything for that gas, but reality was harsh. He didn't even know how to do basic wood chopping. I watched from the side, somehow feeling a bit soft-hearted, and finally walked over and patiently guided him.
Follow through.
Soon the kid picked it up quick enough, maybe to thank me. He told me why he needed the fuel so bad. His old man was a psycho, kept his girlfriend locked up at home. He needed enough gas to get them both out. I knew he wasn't lying, but I didn't want to get tangled up with strangers anymore, so I could only warn him to stay away from that group. Next day I packed up to leave. When I looked up, I saw that kid had turned into a walker.
What the fuck happened?
How else should I know? We found him out there.
You found him like that?
Guess we lucked out.
But the strangulation marks on his neck clearly showed murder.
You know,
Anger
you
flared up,
snooze,
and
you
I
lose.
broke through the old man's bullshit with my fist. The guards immediately came over to stop the conflict, and soon the base management arrived at the scene. Although I tried to explain that the other party had murdered this young man for a few liters of fuel, they didn't care about a kid's life at all. They only knew he'd violated the base's rules, under the guards' restraint. The old man and I were taken together to a large cargo ship. I kept my eyes moving. Containers and rooms everywhere, and security was tight. I also saw some people dressed like doctors conducting experiments, and in the iron cages below, dozens of walkers were confined. Understood it then. They were catching walkers for a biochemical testing. I was outmatched, didn't fight it, knew there was no way out right now, had to wait for my chance. The man next to me had other ideas.
Son of a bitch, tell me! I'm talking to you! Where are you taking us?
Before he finished speaking, 3 guards walked in with steel pipes. After a beating, he was roughly dragged out and thrown directly into the cage below. I calmly watched him become walker food, but I already had a plan forming. I was forced to the walker cage, clearly being treated as walker food, but just as they were about to toss me in, I made my move, took out several guards, grabbed the cell keys off their bike, slowed down whoever was chasing. I released all the walkers, then got my companion out. We ran for the deck, figured we'd escape on a lifeboat, but with 0 sailing experience between us, we studied it for ages without knowing how to use it. At that moment, a walker also climbed onto the deck. It charged straight at my companion, but accidentally hit the release switch. My companion was unfortunately killed by the walker. Then it quickly charged toward me, with nowhere to run. I had no choice but to jump into the vast ocean. When I came to, I was on a beach. I shakily picked up some unknown liquid I had with me and drank it all. After slightly restoring my strength, I walked along the beach into an unfamiliar city. On an abandoned yacht, I found some supplies and also learned from a recorder that this was Marseille, a city in southern France, though the situation wasn't ideal. To get home, I could only keep moving forward. After finding a decent weapon, I set out alone on this unknown journey home. But several days of continuous travel left my previously stored supplies nearly depleted. At that moment, an abandoned food processing plant caught my attention. So I pushed open the steel door and went in, trying to find some food, but the sound from the aching steel door woke the sleeping walkers. I could only skillfully begin clearing the walkers, but what I didn't notice was that these walkers' bodies had strong corrosive properties. Just like that, my arm was scratched by a walker. This made me realize this French journey was destined to be extremely dangerous. After simply treating the corroded wound, I planned to continue my journey. Found a building before long, figured I'd stay the night. Seeing the simple alarm device on the ground, I knew there were likely other survivors here, so I immediately stayed alert and observed the situation inside. Discovering a woman and a blind old man, I immediately raised my hands to signal I meant no harm, then slowly came out. After a brief exchange, I learned they were grandfather and granddaughter because grandfather's ankle was injured. They were forced to rest here for a few days. Hearing this, I immediately took out my remaining medicine to trade for food. Seeing they agreed, I ate without restraint. Just as I was preparing to leave, a car drove in. After getting out, the man ordered me to crouch to the side, then prepared to take the woman away. I couldn't stand watching this. I quietly pulled out my knife, knocked away his weapon, and controlled him. But I didn't expect he would shoot at me without caring about his teammates' safety. Fortunately, I was only hit in the ear, but the man didn't plan to let me go. Just as he was about to finish me off, the woman appeared behind him and saved me. Immediately after, she thrust a shovel straight into the man's chest. After dealing with the man, I also rushed to bandage my wound, but just as I asked her to come help, they completely dropped their disguise. I was just about to kill this guy, but then the woman stopped me, saying not to waste bullets. Then she stabbed a shovel straight down into the man's chest. After dealing with the man, I hurried to bandage my own wound. But when I asked her to come over and help, they completely dropped their disguise. Through my blurred vision, I saw them taking all my things. And finally, they were going to kill me. Just as she was about to make her move, gunshots rang out in the distance, scaring them off. And I passed out too. In my daze, I seemed to see Judith and Carol. Everyone was still waiting for me to come back. When I woke up again, I was surrounded by a group of nuns dressed in white robes. Before I could even wonder what was happening, these nuns rushed over with red-hot irons. After a torturous night, I gradually came to last night's vivid pain. Let me know I was still alive. It must have been these nuns in front of me who saved me.
You feeling better? My name is Isabel. There's no need to be afraid, you're a guest.
Right after that, Isa told me that my arm was injured by a burner, so cauterization was the best way to prevent it from getting worse. Then Isa prepared hot water for me, letting me take a good bath, saying this would help the wound heal. Changed into clean clothes, I followed Isa and started touring this ancient church. Because churches have armories, they were able to survive when a zombie apocalypse broke out. I unexpectedly discovered there was actually a communications device inside the church, but Isa said the equipment was old and then locked it up. I saw her movements, felt a bit suspicious in my heart but didn't show it. But in order to contact Carol, I planned to pick the lock and sneak in secretly. But just then, I heard the roar of walkers coming from outside. I followed the sound and found a boy reciting scripture to a walker. And this walker was the church's priest. The boy was trying to awaken the priest's consciousness through scripture. Then Isa came out from behind too. She made an excuse to send the boy away, then tried to explain all this to me. But I felt this kind of thinking and behavior was dangerous as hell. I immediately went back inside, getting ready to pack my bags and leave this place. Right then Isa took out a drawing and handed it to me. Said it was drawn by that boy 3 weeks ago, and the man walking out of the sea in the picture was exactly the messenger who would escort them. Because the boy was very special to their organization, they needed to take Laurent to their organization's northern base, that they would train Laurent to become a leader who would save this world. And I was exactly the person chosen by God to escort Laurent, and the northern base had the ships I needed most. As long as I could safely escort him there, I would be one step closer to going home. I didn't believe a one-sided story, turned around, picked up my weapons, and left this place, cause I don't believe in any God. But shortly after leaving the church, the roar of cars came from behind me. And the vehicles these people were driving were exactly the same as the 2 people I killed yesterday. At this moment, they were heading in the direction of the church. I knew damn well they had to be coming for revenge, hesitated for a moment. Then I decisively chose to follow. I looked down in horror and saw that the alley was packed with walkers surrounding the castle on all sides. The only entrance was blocked by a drawbridge. But get in. Lou and I found some tools and planned to make a grappling hook. While she was still searching for useful things, I quickly shut the door.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
You'll be safer in there. Besides, I'm better off on my own. Then I went alone to the drawbridge, holding the grappling hook we had just made. This place was too dangerous, and I didn't want Lou to come along, so the raid would have to be done by me. Once inside the castle, I raised my gun and scanned the area. It was just as Lou had described, supplies and all kinds of vehicles everywhere. Suddenly, shouting came from the basement not far away. When I broke the door open, I found a boy locked inside. This boy was Lou's companion, who had been caught by the castellan owner while scavenging a few days ago. Just as I was about to take the boy out, we were ambushed. The attacker was none other than the castle and owner Creeley. I dodged in time and saw where he was hiding, but the terrain was bad for me, so I handed the gun to the boy and showed him how to load and use it. Then while Creeley was changing magazines, I rushed out of the basement and quickly got to his position. He was still fighting with the boy, so I easily subdued him. Before long I had Creeley tied up and had gathered supplies, ready to leave. But as the wagon crossed the drawbridge, the side panel suddenly gave way, and all the supplies fell into the horde below. I tried to fix the wagon, but things were worse than I thought. Me wheel had split apart. At that moment the old man lunged for the rifle, but I grabbed him during the struggle. We both fell into the horde below. Luckily I had a knife in hand and managed to survive the first attack. But Creeley wasn't so lucky. His hands were tied tight, leaving him dangling in midair, becoming the walker's dinner. I knew it would be long before the horde turned on me. That, when I spotted a gas tank nearby, I grabbed a fallen rifle and pulled the trigger. When the smoke cleared, a large number of walkers lay dead, but a few were still closing in. I picked up another weapon and got ready to fight. Suddenly, a walker grabbed my arm. At the last moment, an arrow pierced its skull. Looking up, I saw several kids with boughs covering me, tossing down a rope. I didn't hesitate. I moved fast toward the wall. Any walker that tried to rush me got an arrow through its head. I grabbed the rope and climbed quickly, escaping the horde just in time.
A syringe was shot into the walker's body. The audience instantly burst into cheers because they were all anticipating my death match. Then the walker started convulsing violently. Even the straps on it were about to snap. This immediately made me nervous because I'd seen this kind of walker before. But last time I couldn't fight back worth a damn. Nearly died in the ocean.
Victor! Today you die! For my brother!
I didn't care about Cadron's provocation, just picked up the axe, got my stance ready. Right then the walker's restraints came off, and it charged straight at me. I swung the axe and knocked it down, but the thing got back up in seconds. So I changed tactics quick, shoved the walker against the wall, pinned it there. But the walker's fluids kept eating away at my hands, forced me to let go of the axe. I immediately looked for a usable weapon, wanting to end this game. But the walker actually pierced through the axe handle and slowly moved outward, finally broke free and came at me fast. At the critical moment, I pulled out a flagpole stuck in the wall, then used leverage to throw the walker to the ground and delivered the final blow to its head. The entire venue instantly fell silent. Leader Janae felt even more that she'd lost faith.
Qu'est-ce que vous avez eu à proposer?
Because this was her long-term research achievement. Yet she hadn't expected it to be solved by me so easily, so she had her subordinates bring out my enemy Quinn. The soldiers connected our hands together with an iron chain, then dropped weapons and left. I immediately picked up the battle axe, planning to settle accounts with the man across from me. I ain't gonna die in here.
You look after that already. I'll be quick with the last half.
But just as we were at daggers drawn, the lights suddenly went out, and the venue instantly became pitch black when the lights came back on. Cheers erupted around us, because this time, we needed to deal with 4 walkers at once. The special effects syringes were injected into the walkers' bodies one by one. We 2 spontaneously leaned back to back, raising our weapons on guard. But before we could make a move, one walker exploded on its own. The atmosphere in the arena gradually became tense. One walker broke free first and charged at us, but halfway it was tackled by another walker and died. But our crisis was far from over. The remaining 2 berserk walkers were now swarming toward us. Although I chopped off one walker's leg, limiting its mobility, I was soon also pinned to the ground by the other one. Fortunately, I reacted quickly, using the iron chain to block the walker's mouth. Quinn frantically smashed its head from the side, but the walker showed no reaction. At this moment, the legless walker actually climbed up Quinn's arm, pulling him backward. The huge pulling force also dragged me, who had just grabbed a weapon, and Quinn was also knocked to the ground by the walker. I quickly got up and wrapped the chain around the walker's neck. Under the mutual force from both sides, the walker's head came off with a sound, and the fighting arena also began to chant my name. This was high praise for the victor. I bent down to pick up the walker's head and threw it toward Janae in the stands. She looked at the walker head at her feet, infinite rage surging in her heart, of save her own face. Janae directly ordered her subordinates to shoot and eliminate both of us. And just at this moment,